Just like when I was a little kid and I was told you can ask God for anything, man, whatever I asked, because my faith was unshatterable. It was like I believed what they were saying. Totally. I'm subscribed. I got out of the car. It was like, once I found out, I ran upstairs to deliver one of the most devoutest projections to self that there will ever be. And then when just recently, 10 years ago, I got hit with a Mack truck and wrecked my entire life. At that same point again, I said, with the highest purity to my high self, just, man, let me know the truth. I've had times in my life, long stints, like a year and a half, 2 years, of never watching TV, looking at women, or doing anything in hopes that I would find a way out of here, and still only found certain things. But was like, okay, God, if there's a God up there, look, if you are like into the pure guys and pure beings and all of that kind of stuff, you should take me now, because once I go back out into this world, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to hold up these shields. And so I knew always in my heart that this wasn't about whether you were doing what you felt was right or what was wrong. You were being taken along on a journey, that there was no end to this. That's how we created infinite power. Read the Emerald Tablets again. It says, as basically you're seeking wisdom, it basically becomes more vast. People start complaining about that. They're like, well, shit. It seems like the more I know, the more questions I have. That's a fuel. It's a way in which to keep the consciousness continuously moving as like a light in itself, becoming illuminated, if you may. And then us being able to walk through the darkness because it's actually feeling like it's finding something. So it's motivated. Okay? So all of this had a place. So when you see the temples torn down, all that means is symbolic, is that like the body, like glass literally, has fallen down. The house of cards, if you may, has fallen down. And each person has to start from scratch, and they start off as a joker. Look at the tarot. They start off as the fool. The joker is the fool. Okay? Down the doors of phi, into division, with the pack on the back that can accomplish anything. So let's break it down and then build it back up again. Now, I need to have another conversation with you. I'm not going to be too heavy on the pictures today because, after all, we have an entire infinity for me to elaborate further on you about the classification of entities. Not just Ifrit, not just Jinn, not just Cthulhu, but a slew of other entities that are, many of them are so connected to you, it may be grandma. Grandma. Now, let me explain to you what the real knowledge shows and what the experience confirms, okay? So when you dig deep into the real knowledge, now remember years ago we were on Pierre Sabak, right? Because how I found Pierre Sabak is I didn't take David Icke to actually be the guy generating some of the information that he was producing. It was not congruent with what he was actually, the vein of resonance he was trafficking. Okay, so I said, man, who the hell is this back here? Mainly, who's drawing these pictures? Because there were pictures in a murder. Pierre Sabak's book is The Murder of Reality. David Icke had just recently come out with his newest book. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, he had an illustrator, and I tracked this guy down because, first of all, to be a Sabak, like people don't even know what these names mean, but I do. So I tracked down a very kind fellow. You know, he was on his thing, but he was like a professor, though. Even his books were written like like a professor of linguistics, more so than an occult adventure, but there was a very strong occult undertone. And I wrestled with these works because what these works attempted to prove is that through the Arabic language, there is a story being told, just like what I said in English. There's a story being told specifically within the language, and the words are designed to give reverence to this specific beings, right? And these beings were known as the sailors, that they came in on the moon. Later on, this comes to you as the Anunnaki, okay? That the chief, one of the chiefs of the Anunnaki had actually set up the Arabic language, and the entire design of it was just to keep calling upon and giving obeisance to this being, right? Now, I had trouble with that because I've actually been on the Sodota Mustaqim. I actually been on the Adin. Not like I've been pumping the head on the ground at certain points too, 5 times. In fact, when I found Christianity, I felt it was a little loose. Like with my relationship with God, I was like, shoot, I'm going all the way. So I read the Quran just to see who was the ones that were not like completely on point. Maybe, but this was again because I had been involved in Islam earlier in life through my mother. So when I read the Quran, the first pages, when they were starting to talk about giving demons gas to drink and that they would get lava and that they would be amongst the losers, I was like, shit, I'm in. This is what I'm talking about. This is 1001 Arabian Nights. We about to kill jinn here. Did you not know we gave them? So when you looked at the poetry and the depth even of the Quran, it gave more of an essence that, hey, this is a spiritual kingdom to become involved in. So let me show you what all this culminates into in the invisible realm, because when you're seeing the sons, that's who you're dealing with, the sun, like the sons, okay, that's, you know, because they're stealing the names, okay? So when you're dealing with the sons, right, you would be only dealing with a portion of what is going on, just literally a portion, because that's all they got. That was their allotment, just a portion of the knowledge. It's because you got to go back to their mother. And that's why all genealogies and everything on the planet Earth are always determined by the woman, because you just go back to the mother. The male is not going to give you the data that you're looking for. It's not going to give you the portal. In every sense of the word in the world, it's not going to give you the portal. You got to go to the woman. So I went to the woman because it happens that the woman had been following me around all my life, and has been following around most men all of their life that are on that pole, that this woman has been following you around, okay, through attraction. This divine feminine force interacting in different ways with you, trying to get you to be a man, to come and till the garden, to drop some seeds, and really to dip after that. Like, it doesn't really matter, like, because it is a drone-based hive reality. It's like, once you drop the seed, you can move on. We'll raise the kids from here. We're the best at raising the kids. So they're trying to replicate that system now with your current fake matrix. But back in the old days, once the seed was brought forth, the male was seldom brought into play. And I'm talking about during this epoch, the male was seldom brought into play in the matriarch to raise the child. The women took the children from there and began to do what they do. Like the Quisac Haderach was what they were always looking for. Meaning literally the elder women of this tribe, and we're talking about the Sudanese tribe, the czar, the real czars, not the fake ass czars, not TSAR, which is still that same Sumerian club that stole their knowledge. Like the real czar, 3600. Do you know 3600 is a SAR? That's one complete turn in the womb. Okay, so we're talking about massive beings, right? So while everybody playing around, let me desist for a minute, because I think I need to give everybody a pill. Here's a pill, right? Because everybody keeps asking me, Nipsey Hussle, what is it, Sevan? What is it? And I'm like, man, do you think I got time to nip and hustle right now? But I will give you Ashgadam's path, because the reality is that as powerful beings, man, we know the truth, okay? Let me show you real quick. Let me just go into the situation room. I have a file that I call the situation room, in which I compile all the data on the anomalies of the planetary system and detail those anomalies on the mainframe in order for me to continuously have them in sight for those neophytes. Because I've gone beyond all this. That's why I was like, man, look, man, do you think I'm going to get distracted right now and the portal is open? Do you think I'm going to get pulled into another false messiahship? Let me show you what the deal is. Okay, so go and look. Now, I don't have anything bad to say to you today about Nipsey Hussle. So if that's what you're looking for, that's not what you're going to get. I don't have anything bad to say anymore about any human beings or any creatures and creeping things, because that's just not what I do. That is not how I work. That is never how I've worked. I am not a hater. I am one who wants to get to the truth. And if someone is holding that back, then I will knock you down. And if I don't Oh man, I got a billion with me. So what this is about is this about us getting to truth. This is not a dumping ground. This is not a shitting ground. This is not a place for you to get your rocks off. This is not a place for you to feel entertained. Okay? You know, people take in the spiritual holy space. That's why YouTube is gone. Like, people don't even study this. I'm in here every single day with ADK, SDKs, APIs. What is that? That's like the integrations into these platforms and what they allow you to use within their code, and then all of their policies and things that are changing. Like, YouTube has some crazy ass policies that just came in just now. Like, they don't even allow, they're going to tell you in just a minute, they're not going to allow you to say thumbs up the videos anymore. They are moving people off into another level of the servers. That's why Mindful App is coming, because we won't have to use YouTube. All beings that are in alignment with total resonance of this message, because there's different dynamics of it, and it's not something that just one person should be covering. They will have a space to put their stuff. That's what I'm working on. So when people are asking, well, where's Sevan and what is Sevan? What do you could make sure of? Just check the change log. I got places on the website that you could check what Sevan is doing, because if Sevan's talking, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not delivering. So then there's no secret energy. People are not even using the resources that we put there, because they were designed in this phase to actually be tested out and baited for finally, when all the world, if you may, that is in that resonance, that is ready to come into that level of mindfulness truly, they're just going to come right there. So if you build it, they will come. But this has not been something that we're seeing right now, the traffic and the use of the resources that I've put in because of this marriage that I've had with you. Now the portal's open though, because my marriage is a little bit over. This term is done. There's a new one opening up. And everybody has the opportunity to do this. Once you go into commitments and you actually really, because this is about you, this is about your integrity. Once you fulfill that commitment, now it's time to come into a new house, a new design. And so I'm going to give you the tools that are necessary to design, but I better speed this up because we only got 30 minutes. So here it is. Nipsey Hussle is a joker. Okay? He died at 33. Now, nobody dies, okay? I do suspect he got initiated, though. I suspect that they brought him right in. Now, I have friends that are not here anymore because they kept questioning back and forth of whether or not they should become Masons, okay? Now, first of all, any person who is wavering in that idea, you're lunch. You're a snack, okay? Because I have a friend personally who he kept wrestling with it. This was back in the resistance days. Man, I should go and join. I should go and join, man. How do we know? How do we know? I'm like, well, fucking we know. We know. Everything is telling us. Our hearts are telling us, not to mention these 1,500 books and all these pictures. Something ain't right. We can find it ourselves. But he went and got initiated. Died in a McDonald's bathroom. Okay? Like, as far as him being on this side, he's now a wandering soul, which I'm going to talk to you here about in a minute, because that's what a lot of people are actually dealing with. They're dealing with wandering souls. Okay, so now what happens here is that I do not doubt that Nipsey got initiated because he's hanging around the dog. And you know who I'm talking about. So to imagine that anybody that has a contract in Hollywood is not initiated, the contract is the initiation, whether they're aware of it or not. So what happens is during that initiation, the call is made, and if they take that soul, they take that soul. And that's why he died at 33. Okay? Now let me show you. There's some more jokers running around, okay? Just, while I'm in the joker folder, I have a total disclosure about this. Now I'm just saying that the jokers have this power to where they can pull this trump card, but it doesn't mean that they always end up being able to actually be not played themselves. Now, James is a Jack, is a Joker, is a Jacob. Okay, so I'm very familiar with the Joker's path because you have a trump card. Trump is a Joker. Okay, so what this means is in the house of the cards that you can pull and you can be more powerful than an ace. But you need to make sure that when that ace comes back around that you have a full house.